We talk about my church all the time, right? But have you ever really stopped to think about what that phrase implies? Today, we're going to dig into a really fundamental biblical idea that might just challenge how we think about who really owns the church.
So let's just ask it straight up. Who really owns the church? Now, it seems like a simple enough question, but the answer we find in the scriptures, well, it has some pretty huge implications for how we see our faith, our leaders, and our communities.
Just think about the way we talk. It's totally natural to say, my church in London, or I just love my church. It just rolls off the tongue. And it gives us this personal connection, a real sense of belonging, and if we're honest, a little bit of a sense of possession.
But this is where things get really interesting. The Bible actually pushes back on that common way of thinking. It makes a pretty bold claim. The church doesn't belong to any single person, or any city, or even any denomination.
So, if it's not ours, whose is it? The biblical answer is incredibly clear and direct. As you can see right here, the teaching is that Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ alone, owns the church. This is the core idea we're going to unpack, so let's look at the evidence.
All right, so where does this idea even come from? Well, the first piece of evidence is what we're calling the owner's declaration. I mean, if you want to establish ownership, the best place to start is with a direct claim from the owner himself, right?
The whole case really hinges on one single, powerful word. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus doesn't just say, I will build a church. He says, I will build my church. That little possessive pronoun, my, is everything. It's the foundational claim of ownership.
Okay, so if Jesus is the one and only owner, that raises a big question. What does that mean for human leaders, like pastors and elders? That brings us to our next point, which completely reframes their role. They are servants, not lords.
This chart here really lays out the distinction perfectly. On one side, you have the misconception, a pastor as a lord, basically an owner. But on the other side, you see the biblical model, a pastor as an ensample, which is just an older word for an example for everyone else.
And look, this isn't just somebody's interpretation. It's spelled out word for word. The first letter of Peter explicitly warns church leaders against acting like lords over God's heritage, telling them instead to just be examples. Their role is about stewardship, not ownership. They're shepherds, not proprietors.
So if leaders are stewards, what is it that they're stewarding? This takes us from the role of individuals to the actual structure of the church itself. And the Bible describes that structure as one body, one head.
The book of Colossians uses this really powerful metaphor. It pictures the church as a single body, and Christ is its head. Think about it. A body can only have one head. It's the head that directs everything, that guides the whole organism. It's a perfect picture of a single, ultimate authority.
Which brings us to this simple but pretty profound idea. One. Just one. One head, one body, one church. The teaching here is that no matter how many thousands of different denominations and buildings we see out there, spiritually speaking, there is only one unified church that Christ calls his own.
So how does this spiritual unity actually happen? The Apostle Paul explains it in 1 Corinthians. He says believers are brought into one body by one Spirit. This has nothing to do with signing a membership form at a local building. It's a spiritual reality that's meant to cut across all our human-made divisions.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. You've got Christ's direct claim of ownership, the role of leaders as stewards, the whole idea of one body, and it all leads to a massive redefinition of what the church even is. It's not a place, it's Christ's people.
And this is really the ultimate point. Biblically, the church isn't a building on a street corner or an institution with a charter. It is, quite simply, Christ's people, a living, breathing organism of individuals brought into one body. It's a people, not a property.
So what's the real bottom line here? What does this all mean? It's simple, but it changes everything. If the church is his people, built by him and for him, well then all the credit, all the honor, and all the glory belongs to him and him alone.
So if we aren't owners, if we're just members of his body, that really shifts our perspective, doesn't it? It leaves us with one last, really crucial question to think about. If the church is truly his, what then is our role within it?